Welcome to Seriously Uncork Yourself. I am your host, Lynn Kuhn, and this is a podcast that brings to you a firsthand look at what it seriously means to meet people where they are in their life. Enjoy the experience from illusions to reality. Find out what it is to restore to high performance, renew your freedoms, and rejuvenate playfulness. I can't wait to share with you my experience and the experiences of many others in hopes that you feel inspired to renew yourself and live your best life. Thanks for listening. Now let's get started. I am so thrilled today to have Dr. Wayne Pernell with us as my special guest. Dr. Wayne holds a doctorate in clinical psychology and is also a highly sought out speaker, #1 international bestselling author, and global high performance executive coach. He has more than 35 years of experience in helping individuals gain clarity, confidence, and attain their clear success. He has worked with leaders across the board within organizations including Schwab, 3Com, Whole Foods, and AAA, in addition to running a $6.5 million organization. Dr. Wayne notes that his superpower is getting people unstuck by bringing clarity to their vision. How cool is that? Welcome, Dr. Wayne. How are you?
Well, after that introduction, I'm much better. That was lovely. Thank you.
You're very, very welcome. So if you would please add just a little bit about yourself so everybody could know more about you. And also, I would like for you to tell us how your journey or what your journey was to get you to where you are today.
Oh, righty. So, sure.
And a really short, no, I'm just kidding.
And really condensed. So let's begin with my mother and my father. No. So, right. So I took this path. I was one of the lucky ones that sort of knew what I wanted to do early on. I wanted to go into psychology, and I did. I went into psychology and took it through high school, undergrad, grad, and finally got my doctorate. And then almost immediately after getting my doctorate, I am doing couples work. And this guy calls me and he goes, "Hey, you help me and my wife." And I'm like, "Well, that's a great call." He goes, "But that's not why I'm calling." I'm like, "You just gave me a great compliment." Like, "What do you mean that's not why you're calling?" He goes, that thing you did. I'm like, "That thing I did." That thing you did with me and my wife, can you do it with me and my vice president? And in doing couples work with him, I hadn't actually realized that he was the president of a major organization in South San Francisco.
Wow.
And so my career pretty much took a left turn into business because I began doing what was to become, it wasn't a thing then, but it was to become organization development. I helped him and his vice president get clear about their direction. I helped them get clarity about their values. I helped them get clarity in their communication with each other, which is huge. And about the fourth time I showed up, the line staff was out front applauding my arrival. It's like, "You're here." I'm like, "Yeah, but like, what are you guys doing out front?" They're like, they point up. You help them get so much clearer about where they're headed. We now know what we're supposed to do because they're working better together and they're helping to guide the company.
Gosh.
Thank you for being here. So that was my left turn into business. Since then, realizing working in supporting leaders with their vision, that makes all the difference. And so that's really, how I took clinical psychology into business, into coaching.
That is absolutely awesome. I just love that. And how you just don't ever know what's going to happen in your life. And that, to me, like you said, that was a left, but that was a great left turn. That was absolutely wonderful.
Pretty amazing.
So I've been reading, and I've met you personally, but I've been studying. I'm doing my studying. What is the story that you talk about pizza and how it can be life-changing
Yeah. So, right, nobody thinks about pizza being life-changing.
Right.
Little did I know that a question about pizza was gonna change my life. So, here's the thing is that I was pretty potent out in the world, and yet I didn't feel really strong in myself, and at home, I really didn't feel like that, and this was many, many, many years ago. When I was 42, I had a lot of success behind me. And it's still, this is the thing. Even if you're successful, it doesn't mean you're happy.
Mm.
And there was so much going on for me. I was on the verge of bankruptcy. I had a company. I was almost losing my job. We were looking at divorce at the time, and I needed to get away just to get my head clear. And I flew to my brother's house. He lived in Nevada at the time.
Okay.
Jeff is 12 years younger than I am. So growing up, he could never really be a help to me.
Right.
So I'm sitting on he was happy that I was there, right? So I'm sitting on his living room floor and I'm rocking back and forth, pulling at the white shag carpeting, tugging at it through my fingers. And he's like, brother, because he never called me Wayne. And so he bounces through like a puppy. He's like, brother, I'm so happy you're here. What should we do? What do you want to do? And I'm like, I, I mean, really inside, I'm feeling like, dang, I'm just trying to be depressed here. What do you mean? What should we do? And he's trying to jolly me out, right? He's trying
Mhm.
to make me happy. He's like, I tell you what, let's get a pizza. Should we get a pizza? Let's get a pizza. I'm like, sure. And he goes leaping off to the kitchen. And this was during the time when, and this will date me a little bit, there were phone books. So he picks up the phone
Okay.
book and thumbs through it. He goes over to the wall and he picks the yellow long corded phone off the wall. And he starts to punch in numbers and he calls to me and he says, hey, what do you like on your pizza? And I go, pineapple and olives. He's great, and he starts to dial the rest of the numbers, and I burst into tears.
Mm.
And he sees me, and he hangs up the phone, closes the phone book, comes over to me, and he goes, "Brother, it's just a pizza." And I'm like, "I know it's just a pizza. I know." But here's the thing, nobody ever asked me that question before. He's like, "What?" I go, "Nobody's ever asked me what I like on my pizza. I gave you the answer, pineapple and olives. That was the easy answer. Everybody, like all the kids, they all, we had kids and all the kids
Right.
just, they liked pineapple and olives. They
Mhm.
would all agree on that. So I gave you the answer that was the easy, go along to get along answer." And I realized, I'm wiping away tears. I realized that if I've given away small choices like what I like on my pizza, what about the big choices
Mhm.
that I've been giving away? And that turned my life around. That one realization of, if I've been going along to get along like that, what
Mhm.
about the rest of my life? Like, what happened? And I stepped into owning my life at that point, and it was an incredible turnaround for me. Incredible.
Oh, wow. That is so amazing. And a lot of what you're saying right now is things that are even I can relate to because I'm going through a few major decisions in my life. And yeah, absolutely. That is
What I
powerful. Absolutely powerful.
what I
And
find, Lynn, is that actually resonates with about 100% of the people I talk to, because really we all have at some point gone along to get along. We've given away pieces of ourselves.
Mhm.
And if we're talking about simplicity and balance and lifting, we need to recognize, whether we're a coach or whether we're just being a good human in the world, we need to recognize that there are places, yes, we need to step in. And there are other places that it's like, I'm giving too much of me away. And that is a huge recognition. So, really figuring out who you are and what you value, and
Mhm.
recognizing that what you value now is different than what you valued you're not the same person as
Oh,
you were 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Think back 10 years ago. Who
oh
were you?
boy.
What did you love 10 years ago? Your
Yeah.
your core values of integrity, love, family, right? Even performance, those stay. But
Mm,
the peripheral values of, look at me, I'm somebody, or hey, I need to build stability, like in your 20s, look at me
right.
in your 30s, stability in your 40s, I need to build a legacy in your 50s, health, adventure, right? It's like comfort.
Right.
And beyond that, those enhance, right? So
Mhm.
if you look at who you are, you get to pay attention to what you value now, and then you look forward to where you're going, and it's really about, well, who do I need to grow into? And so many of us as coaches focus our clients on that. Who are you becoming as your best self?
Mhm.
And it's time, dear coaches, and it's time, good humans, to hold up a mirror and go, what's in and what's out right now.
Absolutely. I just, that is so true. I mean, that is like hashtag true. That is so good. That is so good, Dr. Wayne. I just love it.
Thank you.
So my question to you is one of the main reasons I started this whole summit, and that is because it was a little selfish at first because I kept on feeling like I'm going down this rabbit hole and I'm not progressing, correct? It's like, what do I need to do? And then I just thought inside and outside, like, what needs to be done? What needs to be changed? And so now I'm going to give the question over to you with that brand new entrepreneur. Even though I've been in, this market for quite a long time, but I'm thinking to myself, but when I switched, because I switched from what I was doing before to go into the coaching arena, and so then I become a brand new entrepreneur myself at that time too. So what do you suggest to that person to help them simplify to, like, you know, sort of dig out of that sea of all these things coming into them?
Okay, I'm going to use props real quick.
Okay, great.
The 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 when I was talking about sorting what's in and what's out from your personal perspective, that's that really was what caused me to write. I put all of that work and caused me to write Choosing Your Power, and it really became the way of supporting kind of the personal journey.
Mhm.
When you ask about, well, what about the entrepreneur, right? And what's next? And how do they know where to go? That's really where the significance factor comes in.
Yeah, this is
Because if you don't know a couple of things, one, what do you stand for? Right, which is what got me into this world, as I was talking about, the executive that called me in, and I helped him and his vice president to really understand what their values were. That's first. That's like, as an entrepreneur, what
Mhm.
values do you want to stand up in the world and say, I believe in this? It's like a declaration. And
Mhm.
when you say that, a lot of mistakes that early entrepreneurs make is they try to please everybody. I want to sell here and sell there and sell here and sell there.
Mhm.
The whole idea, and here's the other thing, is where people got confused, or I did as an entrepreneur, I got confused with, well, you have to find a niche. And it's like, well, which niche is my niche, right?
Right. Mhm.
The way to find your own niche is to determine what you value. You stand up and go, I value personal development, professional development, and my focus is here. Ta-da, right? You've
Yeah.
now eliminated
Mhm.
potentially health and fitness and
Right.
oils and this, right? But if you stand up and go, I value promoting health through, crystals or whatever, it's like,
Right.
that's awesome. That's a niche. So start with, what are your values? Look at the type of leader you are. And in the significance factor, I talk about, are you somebody who looks at strategy and are inspirational, or are you somebody that looks at tactics and you're more operational? And
Mhm.
know that about yourself. Like, know
Okay.
that. right? I'm more strategic inspirational, and I
Mhm.
know that I need help in the areas of operational tactical.
Okay. Yeah.
So I seek that.
Mm.
So to answer your question, what does an early entrepreneur need? They need to know, what do they believe so that their message is congruent and on track, and
Mm.
really, how do they operate the best, and what support do they need?
I love that. That is so spot on and helpful for me too, because sometimes I get in that the whole thing with the niche, it just really throws me for a loop because with my background in being in recovery, it's like I am ready to help that person no matter where they are in their life, correct? And so when people ask me that question, it's like, oh, here we go again. But now with you telling me that, that does make a lot more sense. So I really thank you. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
And now where do you okay, so we got the young person or the
And I
brand new person. Go
can
ahead.
really jump in on that.
Sure, sure.
One of the things that happens with us as we teach and
Mhm.
coach and we support others is that it's like, oh, here we go again. Here I have to say the same thing over to one more person. So
Mhm.
two things about that. One is, if that's the case where you are feeling like, here we go again, create a course.
Okay.
Create a course, say it once, and have it ready to be said. And if someone goes, well, how do you go, here,
Mm.
I have a gift for you, or here for $29 you can find that path. And then they
Right.
choose to do it. The other thing to keep in mind is that, here we go again, to me means, I've said this so many times, but guess what? It's the first time that other person has heard it. And
So true.
you've got
Mhm.
to bring it as it's new, because you are lifting. And
Mhm.
as soon as you lose that, you've got to switch it up for yourself. So keep
Absolutely.
it fresh and recognize, you wake up going, who do I get to serve today? And it's
Right.
like some new person is going, I need your help. Right? A-
Yeah,
a-
absolutely, and that is so true. It is. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's swing this around to now. What do you suggest and you tell the people that are experts like yourself when you're working with them? What do you tell them that they need to do to help simplify their life to move forward?
Sure. And maybe I just did. Maybe that was it. Maybe I just answered that, which
I
is,
think you did in a sense, yeah, but still, but that, yeah. And for me, I think I want to clarify just a little bit too. It's like with me, I get messed up so much on the niche part of it. It's just like I'm trying to figure out like because they everybody says, oh, you need this avatar, you need to find out who that person is.
yeah.
Well, then I just start trying. Then I personally, I just write down like all the things that I qualities of people, but you said about the value, and that to me makes way more sense. And so, with you clarifying that, I know it's helped me, and I'm sure it will help our viewers too. I think
Right.
that's absolutely wonderful. Thank you.
Perfect. So
Mhm.
I do want to add to that. In terms of an avatar, I
Okay.
got really specific. Now, look, I helped about 300 women in over the course of years, men and women.
Hmm.
This book I wrote with an avatar named Glenda.
Oh,
Like,
did you?
I
Okay.
made up Glenda. She's
Okay.
48. She has two kids. She's a mid-level manager. She has a size 8 shoe. Like, I knew everything about Glenda, and she was an amalgamation, a good mixture of about 300 women that had, over the course of many years, asked me very specific questions. And when I had that revelation about, wow, I've been going along to get along, I've been giving away pieces of me, all the questions that were asked of me by my clients over the years fell together, and I'm like, okay. So I put this avatar of Glenda in a chair, which means I had an empty chair sitting next to me. It was an empty chair, not some stuffed thing, right?
Uh-huh.
It wasn't like, I didn't paint any picture. I just had a mental picture. And so I had an empty chair next to me, and I would be typing and writing, and when I'd get stuck, I'd go, what would Glenda want to hear? And my books are conversational. I write conversationally. And so I write it as if I'm telling Glenda how to move forward. Now, the significance factor was written for a man named Frank. He's
Right.
52. He is a senior executive. He's gotten to a place where, wow, I have some success behind me, but I don't feel fulfilled. I wrote the significance factor because that is a natural progression. Most people get to a place of, I have this target of success. Awesome. Well, I got to there and it doesn't feel successful. You know why? The journey changed you. Your measure of success is different. Cool. Let's change your measure of success. And so this now brings me to answering the question you asked about, well, what about entrepreneurs or coaches or people that have been doing this for a while? Now what? Like
Right.
what's there next? The next, and this is a huge thing, is the reminder you're not thinking big enough. That's the reminder.
Yeah.
That's what I would tell people that have been here. You're not thinking big enough. You're thinking, well, I've done this and I've done this and I've done this and I feel kind of successful. Awesome. Now what? How are you going to make your message that much bigger? How are you going to bring it out there? For me, I started this thing that was just it was something I was talking with somebody about. It turned into a speech that I took to Hollywood. I ended up winning an award for that speech. It was like, oh my gosh, this is growing. And it's hashtag starts with one. If you go to
Yeah.
startswith1.com, you'll see all about it. It's basically how do we relate beyond kindness? How do we grow this kind of kindness mentality, but make it deliberately, actively, and positively uplifting? So that's not what this is about. I'll just say startswith1.com. If our viewers want to go there, that's awesome.
I love
How do
that.
you step in as an individual, right? So for me, that was my process. I began talking about this and it began to get bigger. And now it's like, well, how much bigger do I want it to be? And I'll tell you what happened. It was the strangest thing. This sort of personal, and there you go. I'll share it because I've
Okay.
a couple
I'm
of
waiting.
I'm thinking, cool, I would like to touch 10,000 lives. And a voice in my head said, right? There was like 10,000, but it wasn't, wow, 10,000. It was like, that's like, the voice was like, 10,000 is like peanuts. Like, don't. So I'm like, okay, I declare I would like to touch 1,000,000 lives. And the voice was like, you're still thinking too small. I'm like, how is that possible? And I'm having this argument in my head, but the voice feels like it's outside of me. And I'm like, okay, am I being guided? It's possible.
Right. Yes. Mhm.
I'm open to everything. Let's go, And so I go, okay, I will touch with the starts with one movement. I will make it a movement and I will touch 10 million lives by deliberately, actively, positively choosing to step in and uplift someone's life. We will create ripples in the lives of others. 10 million. And the voice went, it's still too small. And I went, okay,
Yeah.
1 billion lives. I'm touching 1 billion lives. Let's go. Let's do this. And so together we do this. And it's like, now as I say it out loud, like when I first said it, it was like, I'm going to touch 1 billion lives. Right.
Mhm.
That's a seventh of the planet. And then the other side of me was like, why not? Why not? And so back to the message. You need to think bigger. That's the message to the entrepreneurs, to the seasoned coaches out there. You need to think bigger, right? To the seasoned business owners that are moving forward. You've given your message at this level. It works. It's solid. That's awesome. Broadcast bigger. Is it a book? Is it an online course? Is it a daily YouTube video so that you have your own YouTube channel? You need to think bigger. I'm not saying you need to start a movement. I'm saying that's my path. Your path to think bigger might be, well, I want to touch 10 more people. Good. That's awesome. Like
Right.
my path is different. I'm not saying you need to have, a global initiative because I don't want anybody to go, well, I can't do that. If you can think bigger,
But
any
it's
form of bigger, and it
with
starts
one.
with one.
And that's what's really, really, it's so true. It does start with one. Oh my gosh, this has been amazing. Okay. One last huge question is, how do you do all this then with family? Where do you find something that helps you to balance all of it? Because, we all have families. We all want to make sure that they're parts of our lives. And I know that myself, I can get so wrapped up, and then I have to realize that now I got to take care of myself and yada yada yada. But
Yeah.
if I get going, I can be sitting in or wherever I'm at 14 hours later and still going. And then, then it's like, oh, hey, your wife is here or your mom's here. So how do you do that? How do you balance everything together?
Good deal. So there's a myth about work-life balance, and
Mm-hmm. Yep.
and the truth is that we have life, and the balance is what we put into that life. And
Okay.
some days we have more of one thing, and some days we have more of others. We never are going to have equilibrium. And I think that's what most people think about when they think about balance. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
look, the balance is some days it's more, some days it's more of something else.
Mm-hmm.
So how do I balance my family, and my work and my projects? That's all balanced by block time. Block
I
time.
love it. It's so true.
It's
Yes.
block time. So here's the deal. I know that my wife is at work from a certain hour to a certain hour.
Mm-hmm.
I know that when she gets home, I need to shut it down, what
Yes.
I'm doing, so that I can be present for her, with her, deliberately, actively, positively, me, her, right? When we had kids in the home, same thing. What do they need? And so I would either block time for them, or I would block time for my projects. When I was doing the writing, I would block my very first book, Choosing Your Power. I have 5 of them out, and it's incredible, because how do you do
Mhm.
it? Block time. I would block 2-hour time block so
Mhm.
that 17 hours didn't roll by, and I'd break it into 20-minute segments, just 20-minute segments. So that's that's how I did it, is block time, 20-minute segments, and then get up and break and be deliberate about
Yes.
the segment.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you on that, because that is so true. That's what I've been learning to do,
Good.
and it's a big change. I'm always a paper person, and now I've actually even have a Google Calendar, which is really crazy. Because I never did that before. I actually scheduled stuff in there. So, and then you just hit a little bit lightly on that too. So you do have 5 international #1 Amazon best-selling books. Can you want to talk a little bit about those?
So number one, I'll whip through them because I do
Okay.
want to be conscious of our time together. Number one, choosing your power. It is about stepping in and creating the life, finding your voice really, and
Mhm.
creating the life that you want and deserve at home, at work, in the world. And it's really about watchwords. It's about relationships, communication, relationships, and you finding you. Stop apologizing. That is one
Mhm.
of the biggest messages in there. The second book was The Significance Factor.
Okay.
That was actually, sorry, the second book was The Winning Way, which I contributed to this with Brian Tracy. So that was kind of fun. Um, Mine was Meaning Maker Leadership. My contribution was Meaning Maker Leadership. And it's really about how do you step in and how do you define who you are as a leader, and how do you make meaning in the workplace? Well,
Okay.
from that contribution, I ended up creating The Significance Factor. This goes into it in a little more depth. It's a quick read, and at the same time, this book and one of the other books that I've written, which I'll talk about in a second, I only want people to read about 6 pages at a time.
Oh, okay.
It's really thin.
Okay.
It's really easy to get through, and at the same time, don't sit down and pour through it. Sit down and take it in, and do an
Okay.
exercise and think about it. So the significance factor is really will get you through the steps of who am I as a leader? Who am I as a self? What do I believe in?
Mhm.
How do I measure success? And how do I get past success to significance? Dynamic transitions. 100% of us are in transition in one way or another. This one talks about values, peripheral values, and core values. And it answers the question that so many people have, which is, who am I if I'm not a fill in the blank, right? I work with professionals who are retiring. I work with people who their relationships are changing. We are at an age where our kids have grown up and gone out. Well, who am I if I don't have kids at home? What's my role? Who am I, right? So we need to define that. And then a fun book that I wrote with a woman that I worked with at a Leadership Institute is called Leadership Lessons from the Road. Amy and I had a lot of fun writing this book. The subtitle is "Why Bother? We're All Knuckin' Futs."
I love it. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so 5 books out there. It's incredible, and this is the one that I think gets people moving. The Significance Factor. I love my first book, Choosing Your Power. I love The Significance Factor, and I love Dynamic Transitions, all for different reasons. The Significance Factor gets people moving because it's for the first time you're actually paying attention to what you value and what kind of a leader are you.
This has been so enjoyable. Oh, thank you so very much for coming on and sharing everything. Oh, one last question. So, okay, so you said to do the significance factor. Okay, now I don't know which one I want to start with. So you're thinking I should start with that one, huh?
So here's the thing. I would love it if you'd start with, you get this at waynepernell.com/books.
Okay.
Start with Choosing Your Power.
All right.
Because that will really help you find your voice. It will help you stop apologizing. It will help you step into the world. And in this, I also define what I talk about relationships and how people give away parts of themselves, or they become so helpful that they smother the other person. And if you find yourself trying to be helpful and what you're getting is pushback, you need to pay attention to your own boundaries on that one. But I'm just trying to help. Yeah, the other person also has boundaries and doesn't necessarily like it the way you're helping. So,
guilty.
Okay, so for you, definitely start here.
Okay, great. I love it. And thank you so much. This has been such a pleasure and an honor. And I know the viewers are going to just love all the information that you gave for us.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you for tuning into the show. I hope this brought out your passions, ignited you, and inspired you to restart and reclaim your life. Please subscribe to my podcast and feel free to leave a rating and a review. Until the next episode of Seriously Uncork Yourself, you can check out more information at lynnkuhn.com. That's Lynn, Lynn, Kuhn, KUHN.com. Be sure to tune in for my next episode. Sending you all peace and love until our next time together. Seriously Uncork Yourself.